Welcome to Real Flix Reviews, like a book club for people who hate reading. This month we're doing Grab Bag. So Ryan picked the movie True Lies, made in 1994, Black Sails Season 1, Episode 1, and we bring you movie news. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Preston. So here's the description of True Lies, 1994. A fearless, globe-trotting, terrorist-battling secret agent has his life turned upside down when he discovers his wife might be having an affair with a used car salesman.
I didn't read this description beforehand, but what?
I was going to say, it sounds like a TV show with Will Smith all of a sudden. It's the Prince of Bel-Air meets Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Huh.
This kind of tries to answer the sort of the classic ever since spy movies, like, oh, what's it like when James Bond goes home, like what's his home life like, something you never really see. Does he have a wife? I mean, what if it was just suburban life? And that's kind of what this is.
I don't know. I never saw James Bond having a wife. Maybe an extra liver in a refrigerator somewhere, but never a wife.
Well, I think it was one of those kind of funny sort of mind experiments you went through with like your friends, just like oh, what if you had a wife? Trying to explain that shit to your wife when you got home, and
so he decided to marry the Scream Queen.
Yeah,
and so I got to say the cast on this movie is actually pretty good. It's very 90s though. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, Tom Arnold will make anything 90s.
Yeah, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Arnold, and Bill Paxton, and the ultimate 90s girl, Tia Carrera.
She was the hottie back then.
She hasn't done anything notable in quite a while. She's been in TV shows, movies, voiceover work, and all that.
But yeah, she
was on like Celebrity Apprentice or something. I think True Lies was the height of her career in Wayne's World.
I was going to say Wayne's World. I mean, she still does a lot of stuff, but nothing nearly as much anything notable, I guess you should say.
And I mean, I was talking to Ryan about this one when he picked this. I mean, I never found Jamie Lee Curtis attractive until this film. And I'm watching it now, I'm like, she still isn't that hot.
I know.
But I remember as a kid, like saw her in Halloween and some of those things, like John said, the original Scream Queen. It's really who she is. But yeah, I mean, in this one, it was the only one where I was like, okay, she's not that bad.
Every time I see this movie now, it reminds me of a quote from Austin Powers. It's a man, baby.
Get in my belly.
Wrong one. Oh. I actually like Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie.
She's good for this one, yeah.
I actually thought they overplayed kind of the geeky, desperate housewife a tad bit in this movie. I thought that was a little overplayed.
Yeah.
I think they kind of went sort of a cool direction with Jamie Lee Curtis, because you can get Jamie Lee Curtis. You put those big glasses on her and the hair and everything's
cardigans,
drab colored, but she can really clean herself up. I hate to use that expression; it sounds sexist as hell. But I mean, she looks amazing when she pulls it all together.
When she's a whore.
Yeah, basically.
Are you calling her a tart?
I'm kind of colored a little
Julia
bit
Roberts.
differently when it comes to that scene, because this was my favorite movie when I was like 9 years old.
I keep feeling
it was that whole scene that was kind of doing it for me at that age.
Yeah, I remember seeing this in the theaters, and I remember enjoying the whole movie, especially her part. But I don't know. I don't know. I actually thought the part the scene where they capture her, and then the Julia Roberts part, I actually thought that was pretty well done, especially considering he kidnapped his wife and the dude knocked her over the head.
Yeah, when Arnold's like, going to hell for this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
to me, it's funny. I mean, this is about as serious of a satire as I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It totally knew it was a satire. Arnold played it like that, which is perfect for the movie, especially when you got Tom Arnold next to you. It was serious. They were taking it as earnestly as possible.
See, I didn't realize it was kind of satire comedy until I got older. To me, satire was RoboCop. You know, it was like beyond over the top. This was played very straight man, except for Ton
Very
Arnold.
straight, but very everything was a callback to some previous spy movie. You
Oh
know?
yeah, I would.
The
I would
thing
say,
I want to say is Arnold, the role that Arnold played in this one, I think, basically showed his entire range.
yeah, he was.
Yeah,
He's the
definitely.
He's the Dr. Venkman of this movie. He's
Well, I mean,
the
he's dressing
comedy
up
foil.
as Mr. Rogers in that around the house, and then he goes out and he's, the badass Arnold that and you basically saw every role he played except for Conan in this.
Yeah,
one.
pretty.
Yeah,
I mean, he was the kindergarten cop. He was the last action hero. He was
I do want to say
collateral damage.
I
Lots of that in this film.
and a little bit of the Last Action Hero, which by itself was another satire. I do want to see though what housewife would think Arnold Schwarzenegger is a
sexy
salesman.
beast. Or no, well, I mean, like the face he makes a couple times.
Well, I
in there,
mean,
it's like,
he's supposed
I eat you.
he's supposed to be a salesman. I mean, the dude's like 6 foot something, built like that. What is he selling? Steroids?
It doesn't matter what he's selling. If he tells you to buy it, you buy it.
So I mean, that's the one thing I'm thinking. I mean, he's selling something, but it's definitely not computer systems. I mean, come on,
Yeah, it's roids. Got to have the roids.
you know.
You'd have to, have all kinds of conversations with her about like creatine just to keep his cover.
Seriously, I like to
But-
pump.
But they went way over the top with the home life. Everything was over the top with the sort of the quintessential Middle Eastern bad guy, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear bombs,
And-
and a nuclear bomb that actually blew up. I fucking love movies that do that.
And don't forget about a very young. I can never pronounce her freaking name.
Eliza Dushka?
Yeah, yeah.
Eliza Dushku.
I completely forgot she was in this movie until I saw that. I'm like,
Dude, she was like 8.
Yeah, this was her first movie.
Yeah.
I
I
just
think she
really,
was like 13.
I mean,
Was she?
just surprised me that in this movie because I
Oh,
totally
you're right.
didn't
Yeah.
remember.
We were born the same year.
This was something that actually surprised me. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was funny because she actually still looks like a version of herself when she was that age.
Yeah.
And you
It just
got-
literally looks like the kid version of Eliza Dushku.
and then there's Charlton Heston.
Oh yeah, I love him in this film.
Yeah, as the token boss.
The token one-eyed boss.
Oh, the eye patch. Oh, come on, that was so great. If you didn't know it was a satire at that moment,
Seriously, and the movie was. I love that character. It just.
but man, I really love this movie, man. I don't think there was anything that they played for that they didn't get the perfect response for. They went way over the top with everything. They didn't sheep out. And I've said this 1,000 fucking times, but the mid to late 90s was the perfect time for action movies.
Yeah.
It was before Mythbusters ruined everything with realism. People still blew shit up. And you had like the always you had the new jump the shark moment, like the FA-18, launching the guy from the missile.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It
Knocked
was-
him back. I mean, come on.
I mean, it jumped the shark when the Harrier was in the air longer than 10 seconds.
No, they jumped the shark when they were trying to get it off of the road.
I think one of the reasons the 90s was the best is you got over kind of the silliness that was kind of 80s action movies into a little bit more
Thank you,
grounded,
Dolphy.
like Terminator 2-ish. And
Right.
I think it improved it enough where it wasn't as cartoony, because if you look at some of the 80s ones, I mean, they're live action cartoons. They're
What's
so
wrong
goofy.
with Beverly Hills Cop?
Besides the guy who doesn't pay his taxes. And this, I mean, this is such satire. I mean, you can't really even talk about, the archetypal characters and all that because they did
That's
it on
what they
purpose.
meant it for. Yeah.
This is Brian's totally right. This is James Bond meets Honey, I'm Home.
Well, kind of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a little bit.
Oh yeah, I could see. Yeah.
Missing one spy.
I don't know. They spied her out
uh,
at the end. It seemed like.
The whole. I mean, it's a long movie.
Yeah,
but
it was, 2.5 hours?
It's got
Two
the
and 2
turns
hours
that
and
keep
21
you
minutes.
invested. Like, oh fuck, we're in like a whole different little part now. I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I forgot about the guys with the nuclear weapons. I was all concerned about him and his wife.
It does do a good job of balancing each segment, though. It does the beginning part when he's breaking into the home, like the video game Hitman, to his family life, then jumping to the terrorist, then back to the family life. I thought the way they balanced that, you never got really bored in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would give you that. You don't really get bored unless, I mean, you're like Ryan and seeing this, for 500th time.
And you've got to love Bill Paxton.
Oh, his whole interaction with Schwarzenegger and Tom Arnold at the dam edge.
And
it was like the greatest scene ever.
Was that the scene where they found out he was a car salesman? Because they
knew he was a car salesman, but then they tried to convince him that they thought he was a terrorist named Carlos.
Because I liked my favorite scene with Bill Paxton and him was the scene they were spying on him, and Tom Arnold kept saying comments about the guy and his Schwarzenegger about the Bill Paxton and Schwarzenegger's wife.
Yeah, and he keeps on going. This is hilarious. Well, if it wasn't your wife.
And
I mean, Tom Arnold is great when he's let off the leash like this.
And he even made cracks at Roseanne in this movie, too, about, that bitch even took the ice trays. Who takes the ice trays? I really liked Tom Arnold in this movie, and he actually did some decent movies around this era.
Yeah, he did a couple with, what's his name, the rapper guy.
Sober Tom Arnold is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if I would say amazing.
He's hilarious.
He's pretty friggin' hilarious. I mean, he's just he did a lot of movies, seemingly for the money, for kind of a long
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, you can't blame him for that. I mean,
his ex-wife, I have no idea why he did that, but took a lot of the money.
Well, yeah, and then
so he had to get
their contention with each other was quite public for a long time. So,
I mean, because I think there was
he
also
sort of fell out of favor with the general public. But I mean, I've always.
What was that, Ryan? Because he did TV shows like movies like McHale's Navy in '97, which I always enjoyed. So he's definitely done some good movies, but he's also one of these guys that you're always kind of like, oh, it's with Tom Arnold.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dirty guy.
And
there's no way around that.
Like if I see a Bill Paxton movie, oh cool, it's Bill Paxton. I see Tom Arnold, it's like, I'm not sure if I really want to watch this.
I got an Exit Wounds.
With Tom Arnold?
Yeah, Tom Arnold.
Well, he did too many movies.
Dude, what the heck are you doing, Ryan? Stop torrenting the porn and do the show. Okay? We're doing the show now, Ryan. No more porn.
I don't porn anymore. It's all on Flash, dude.
All right. Good call. But yeah, I mean,
man.
I wouldn't say Tom Arnold is amazing, but I would say when he's let off the leash, he can be a really funny person because he's got enough of he's able to make fun of himself in a way, and also make cracks about other people that it's.
I would say he's underappreciated.
By you.
I think by the general public, I think he's somewhat general appreciated if he's kind of not the historical jerk, character, because he's not known as a very nice guy from everything I've ever read about the guy.
No, I haven't heard anything nice about him.
I think Tom Arnold's got a second wind in him. Yeah, I think people would be happy to see him come back and do, even do like a Bill Murray thing where he comes back, does a couple of serious flicks, and then back into the comedy.
I mean, if you dump Roseanne, I'm sure you get a breath of fresh air too.
And the most amazing,
not to mention, I'm sure you got some sadness to pull off of.
And the most amazing thing about this movie is they were going to make a second one, and I think until 9/11 happened.
I thought that was Eraser, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't supposed to be a comedy.
It was hilarious.
It wasn't?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure it was. I mean.
Of course, with
a review on Netflix.
Of course, with Arnold's acting, you can never truly tell. Because they were going to make a second one, but I remember reading because in 9/11, the director's comment was, "Well, terrorism isn't funny." Because be like True Lies 2.
Well, all I want to do is blow you up.
Oh shit! blame him. Blame him.
Okay.
All the other actors and kind of ancillary people did a really good job on this. The Art Malik, who played Selim Abu Aziz, did actually a fairly good job.
Better than your pronunciation.
Oh, hell yeah. There wasn't anybody in this movie that I thought that sucked, whether they were a semi-main character or ancillary character. I thought everybody did pretty decent.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Even the kind of tech guy, Faisal or whatever his name was supposed to be, Grant Heslow, when he pulls the gun out and shoots everybody in the room real quick. It's like,
I love this moment.
It's like,
That
yeah, you've been practicing at the range, haven't you?
the best shooting scene was Jamie Lee Curtis dropping the Uzi.
Oh, jeez.
And it's just like, it's a better shot than her. Just throw it down.
Ricochet's a falsity, right?
And somehow
Especially when the Uzi's pointing backwards and shooting back at her.
and she's completely unscathed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. I give this movie a 4 to 5 because it's far enough from the 90s that the movie's even funnier now, I think.
Dude, it's 94. How can it be far enough from the 90s?
Because it's at least 15 years old. Or close.
Jeez.
10, close enough. But
John is not a good at math, okay?
I think it's far enough away that some of the sins of this movie are forgivable, especially anything to do with the technology aspect of it. I think it's actually aged fairly well, except anything to do with computers.
All right.
No, I like this. This is a strong 4 to 5 for me.
Okay. I was teetering between a 3.5 and a 4, but I think I'm gonna stick with a 3.5. I mean, there's still some things that I'm just like, oh my gosh, again. But I think that's more because of all the action movies I saw with Arnold. And I mean, there's enough laughability that it gets the half point for me. So.
Yeah, and I think definitely with me, I don't like Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore. I think for me personally, he kind of blew his load, as it were, all of the made. I don't like this movie at all.
But whatever.
I don't like him really as an actor anymore. I think he's
past his prime.
A lot. Ryan, what do you think? What do you give this movie?
I mean, I'm fighting against my 9-year-old self, shouting in my head it's the greatest movie of all time. I mean, it's definitely a strong 4 out of 5. I mean, it's one maybe major flaw is it might be about a half hour too long, but I mean, you can just shave off little parts of little parts.
Just don't watch the tango scene.
And make this movie much more streamlined. But aside from that, I mean, I think it holds up really well. I think all the comedy still plays, and I think every move that they made that was for the comedy was totally on purpose,
See,
so that's props right there.
I actually didn't think this movie was too long, even though I definitely think there's a number of scenes you could shave off and it would be better movie, like pretty much the tango scenes. I mean, parts of it. I mean, I understand why they did it, but it was like, you could have cut that
Arnold
a little shorter.
A really stiff dancer, by the way.
Well, and it's just 90s pacing that kind of ages it a little bit,
So we're switching off to the TV show, and that was Black Sails Season 1, Episode 1, and
Episode Uno.
So James, batter up.
I think I'm going to pass this one over to Ryan. Come on, Ryan, jump on one of these. You picked it. Let's go.
Okay, so I
a swing and a miss.
I can't believe we didn't pick this one before.
I agree. I was kind of shocked by that.
I in this before I even ever saw it. It was really quickly explained. It's like, oh, okay, it took place 20 years before the events of Treasure Island. Always loved Treasure Island. It was one of my favorite books growing up. And I am a fan of the swashbuckling.
And the cook was supposed to be Silver, right? The guy that came on board was supposed to be Silver?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just not Long John Silver yet. And, so you're kind of introduced kind of slowly to sort of the main players a little bit, and you're kind of seeing like, oh, okay, that was what Billy Bones was like, before he got all jacked up and crazy. But anybody who kind of sort of knows anything about Treasure Island starts seeing these little moments and just like, oh, that kind of explains that a little bit. And obviously it takes sort of interesting liberties, but it's a really gritty show. Doesn't pull any punches with the swashbuckling, as it were,
and a lot of sex.
nor the language, nor the nudity.
Yeah, the
it's
sex.
definitely one of those shows.
Game of
You know,
Thrones
compared
is the only
to, like,
TV show that competes for this movie for the amount of sex in it.
oh, for sure, and lets you know right off the bat where the show's sensibilities are. But at the same time, the setting of where it's taking place, it's a show about pirates.
Where
You know,
did-
it's not exactly the most morally
It's supposed
sound
to be an
people
island around
ever.
the Florida Keys.
Okay, so like it wasn't like Tortuga, Port Royal, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, it basically takes place in like Nassau.
Oh, okay. That was the one thing I didn't remember catching, as far as the actual what was supposed to.
Yeah,
take
they don't
place.
really tell you exactly where the island is, but they do say it's one of them.
So I do like the fact that for a pirate movie, this actually was, excuse me, pirate show. This actually stayed fairly true to at least what I've always read. You know, it wasn't like Cutthroat Island where it was way over the top. This had a gritty feeling. I was actually really surprised. I mean, this isn't a TV show that I don't think I would go out to see a lot, but I actually really appreciated the direction they were taking.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's like you said, there is a lot of sex. They do not downplay the sex as this show progresses, but for me, I'm more there for what Ryan was saying is the swashbuckling, and they do not let down on the swashbuckling at all.
Yeah. Well, and what's cool about it is it's a straight up fictional story. You know what I mean? Just the same way Treasure Island was, but it will mix in, you know, historical characters and things like that, and it doesn't go so far over the top where, you know, like the second Pirates of the Caribbean, I was like, okay, I am done suspending my disbelief.
The second, I was fine with the first. I agree. I actually think that's the best way to do it, was mix in fantasy with reality, so it's at least grounded in something.
Well, nobody gets their feathers in a ruffle, you know, sitting there saying, oh, this isn't historically accurate. There's not enough really known about historical pirates, especially sort of the golden age of piracy, that warrants like a true telling of a story. So you have to kind of embellish or go on with the legends and shit like that.
So with that being said, we do have a Facebook page. Love us, hate us, have a movie that you'd love us to do. Make a comment on the Real Flix Reviews page. And we do have a podcast. You can catch us on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, and more. And Ryan, do you have any movie news? Because if you don't, I have a couple.
Well, you know, I defer to your better judgment.
Well, I'm not sure if this is better judgment.
That'd be
because some of this is bad. Let me just go straight into it. In the why do you need to create another pile? Underworld is having another movie made called Blood Wars.
Well, it's been long enough that people have forgotten how much the last movie sucked, and they just kind of remember the title.
The last movie.
You know, I've heard people actually excited for this.
What? Huh?
I'm at a loss too.
The first one sucked.
The first one had its
I wasn't
entertaining bits, but yes, it sucked.
That movie sucked so bad. Interview with a Vampire was offended.
No, I was gonna say Matrix 2 was upset.
No, that's Matrix 3. That's really go off the top. And another one that I'm semi interested in is it's going to be a Crow remake with Jason Momoa.
No, I mean if it's not Shannon Lee, I don't care.
I'm interested to see how they're going to play it. If this is a complete reboot, so none of the movies, the stuff that's done in the other movies, I'd be interested to see how they take it. But they have to do it, I think, in a different way. They can't be the same way.
The thing about go on, Ryan.
The Crow is a kind of an interesting character that you really could pull it down to just the base elements and just rebuild from the foundation.
Yeah, I was going to kind of go the same way, as the fact that the Crow wasn't necessarily a single person. It was basically
well, for the record, I really now want to see Shannon Lee's version.
Right?
But this is a complete. This is from reading about it. This is a complete reboot. This is a reset in the series, which
isn't that what they try to do with City of Angels? Crow 2 was that 2 City of Angels or something like that? Ryan?
I think the second one was trying to be a reboot since they lost the star. But I'm kind of interested to see how they take this. Only if they do it in a way that's different, and how you do it different, I'm not sure how. They've done so much in all the other crappy versions of it.
I think this would be Crow 4, right?
No.
I think this is Crow 4. I think there was a Crow 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure there's more of them.
Do you remember?
I think there was a.
Oh yes, there it is.
There might be 3. I think there's 3.
See, I think you're right. I just had it pulled up and it went away. There's The Crow, City of Angels, which is May '96, and I think the other one I was thinking of is The Crow.
Like Revelations or some shit like that, maybe.
Well, there's Wicked Prayer and Salvation. I have to actually look. I think it's Salvation.
That's what I was thinking.
Because there's been quite a number of them. I haven't.
Yes, The Crow Salvation was number 3 with Kirsten Dunst.
The last one I remember that I was
away
actually
from my movies.
That I was actually somewhat impressed by with the way they did it was the guy who was he was an innocent guy who was electrocuted. And I remember thinking the way they did that version was at least kind of a new take on it. Same basic trope, good guy done wrong, but at least in a way I thought was more interesting.
Well, I just found one that there's...
The Green Mile.
That's awesome.
Well played, sir.
So, have you guys ever heard of it's a game called Uncharted?
Yeah.
Yes.
The movie that was actually going to be taken off was taken off the release schedule.
Oh wow, they're not doing it.
I didn't even know they were.
Naughty.
So I think it was interesting. I mean, I'm an Xbox guy, so I haven't played Uncharted, but I always heard it was a great game.
I heard it was a great game too, but yeah, like you said, I
Well,
got my
the
console.
Uncharted, it's a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
So you only have a certain amount of people who are really aware of it. I'm sure that there was enough people clamoring about it that they threw some money at it. But there's a 100 reasons that this would get bogged down in production hell.
I've always wanted to play God of War as well, but
yeah, PlayStation.
See, I'm wondering if this is going to do like, if it gets made, if it's going to be like Resident Evil, where the only really, really good one was the first one, and even then, there's points after rewatching it, you're going, oh dear God.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing is they'd have to. The Uncharted thing is going to be actors and location. If it doesn't have those, there's no amount of rewrites that are going to make it any better.
And I'm thinking the only way it's going to be really good if they just blow their load in one movie and don't do anything else.
Dude, what is up with the
also, it doesn't have so many people that are going to be looking forward to this. So if it goes over budget, I mean, it could be something as simple as that. Like, no, listen, we don't want to throw.
So you'd be like,
when it's just.
So it'd be like Deadpool when they had to cut a bunch of stuff, the money from it. How there was only 2 X-Men.
Did they mention anything about why it was being pulled off?
I don't remember in the article. Unfortunately, I just closed it. And another one that I thought was interesting, and I don't know why, Warren Beatty's Howard Hughes movies, Rules Don't Apply, opens at an AFI festival.
Okay. Yeah, I saw something about that. I don't know.
So I don't... I'm not sure. I mean, I actually like the Howard Hughes. I mean, he's an interesting character. Don't know if we need another movie about him.
I don't think so. I think what was it, Avatar or Aviator?
Aviator.
Sorry. Aviator was enough. I really do.
Yeah, I thought that was enough of a story and enough of a show. Did a wide range. There's not much else you can do about the guy.
Yeah.
So let's see. And the other one, Margot Robbie, is going to be a producer for the spin-off movie of Harley Quinn. And what do you think?
That's definitely very smart.
I think it's smart, but I don't know. I mean, they would have to be very careful about how they did it.
And how the only thing is, the way they introduced her, it can't be an origin story. And so it would have to have the Joker in it somewhere.
Why couldn't it be an origin story?
They did it in the Suicide Squad. Could it be a reboot of the origin?
They barely did Suicide Squad.
What was that?
I mean, yeah, I guess they flashed to it enough that you'd have to kind of change it around a little bit. But
I mean, I guess you could do it. You could go to the points that they showed in the movie and then fill everything in between.
But yeah, I mean, I know that I'm definitely in for what that movie's going to be, no matter what it is, because I love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn.
Oh no, I'm with you.
Yeah,
She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just thinking I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to be doing with it, and I really hope that if they do it, that they stay away from. I can't think of the guy's name right now who did the Joker.
Oh,
Jared Leto.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they
He's-
stay away from the Jared Leto Joker in this one, I think that they could do well with it. But you
I
can't
think-
have a Harley Quinn origin without the Joker.
no, he's going to be in it. I'm almost positive because right now he's the Joker. He's the, whether good
You
or
know,
bad, he's the heir
it's-
apparent.
It's so funny how the Joker has become so fucking precious.
He's always
To
been my
everybody.
precious.
And ever since basically everyone heard that Heath Ledger was going to be playing the Joker, that's when it all went to, oh, wait a second, Jack Nicholson, he's the definitive Joker.
No, I never said that.
No, and I can actually.
I'm just being very honest. Never said that.
So
Yeah,
so
well, I know. I mean, a lot of us never said that, but
So-
at the same time, I mean, that was sort of the zeitgeist. Like, no, but remember the last Joker? Yeah, but remember the last Joker? But remember the last, and that's kind of what it's been the last like 4 times.
So
So my
Somebody's
frame
like,
of
being-
reference has always been Batman.
wait, hold on. So
The animated
before,
series.
but before we round up the show, James, I've known him the longest out of anybody in the show, and it's always been Mark Hamill. That's and that's
out
the
of,
same
out
with
of any
me.
of us.
Out of
Me?
yeah, James and myself, it's always been Mark Hamill has been the Joker. It's the voice, it's the laugh, it's the insanity of the character. To
Yeah.
me and James, that's always been the Joker. That's always been who I've compared him to. So Jack Nicholson,
Or the Mexican guy from the Batman TV show with Adam West. I mean, just that was never the Joker to me.
no,
Yeah.
The guy was actually a
Steve Carell.
Mexican who played that guy. Well, I don't know if he was Mexican, but he was Span.
well, pick a race. I mean, come
Well,
on,
he
you gotta
was-
be. if you're-
He was Latino there.
But no, to me, it's always been a hard thing to go against too, because you're going against a cartoon,
Mhm.
and I thought, the Christopher Nolan's was the closest to how I viewed him.
Yeah, I agree.
That being said, next week is our theater pick, and for good or bad, we're picking the remake of The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
You can all weep bitter tears. I'm just saying
Just
that
not
now.
at me.
And
'Cause I don't care.
And so James is going to pick the TV series we're going to
So
watch.
we are going to be doing a TV show that it's hard to. They change what they're doing every season, but we're going to go to the original season of American Horror Story, season 1, episode 6, Piggy Piggy.
Interesting.
That's the title.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I gave True Lies a 4 to 5. James gave it a 4 to 5. Ryan gave it a 4 to 5. That's a semi-rare. We all agree.
I gave it a 3.5.
You said 4.
No.
No, I'm sticking with it.
All right, that's fine.
Well,
you can have an
you-
extra
you-
point.
You said 3.5 out of 4, or something like that, or 4. So close enough. I'll
It's
figure
okay.
it out later.
I'm
And
not bothered.
we gave Black Sails must watch, but don't want to watch it around your kids. And as always, see you next week.
Goodbye.
Thank you.